Hello. Hello. Catherine.
Lisa.
Oh,
Yeah.
terrible for name. The others at the GPO.
What?
The others at the GPO.
Yeah.
That's the fake one.
Yeah.
One, two, 1, 2. Sorry about the delay there. I'm Eddie Gunnery and I represent the National 1916 Commemoration Committee. We're going to start today's proceedings by the laying of wreaths. The main wreath today is going to be laid by Christy Salmon on behalf of the 1916 Commemoration Committee. Go ahead, Christy. And then we have Adam McGreevy on behalf of the 32 County Sovereignty Movement. And Dylan Conwell, I hope I get this right, on behalf of Public, from the Public. Thank you very much, lads. We will now observe a minute's silence on behalf of those who gave their lives in the pursuit of Irish freedom. We also remember those who have been killed by US-backed Israeli genocide in occupied Palestine. 1 minute. Thank you. Chrissy, the kids with the lilies.
Bad position.
Can we get the children, as the names are read out, to lay the lily on the headstone? Okay. Thomas Clark. Thomas McDonough. Patrick Pierce. Edward Davey. Michael O'Hanrahan. William Pierce. Joseph Plunkett. John McBride. Tom Coleman. Eamon Kemp. Sean Houston. Michael Mallett. James Conley. Sean McDermott. Roger Caseman. And Thomas Kent. Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done, Phil. We're now going to have a reading of the proclamation. Damien Wilson.
Public, Lahari, the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland. Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and the dead generations from which she received her old tradition of nationhood, through us, summons her children to our flag and strive for her freedom. Having organised and trained for manhood through her secret revolution organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through her open military organisation, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army. Having patiently perfected her discipline, having waited resolutely for the right moment to reveal herself, she now seizes that moment. And supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the force on her own strength, she strikes in full confidence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destiny, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished the right, nor can it ever be extinguished except by the destruction of the Irish people. generations, the Irish people have asserted their right to national freedom and sovereignty. 6 times during the past 300 years, they have asserted it in arms. Standing on that fundamental right, and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign, independent state. And we pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare, and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberties, equal rights and equal opportunity to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and all its parts, cherishing all the children of the nation equally, and oblivious of the difference carefully fostered by an alien government which has divided the minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all her men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in trust for the people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms. And we pray that no one who saves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity, or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas Clark, Sean McDermott, Tomas McDonough, P.H. Pearce, Eamon Pants, James Conley, Joseph Plunkett.
Well done, David. We're going to have the main oration of the day today. And the man to deliver this, Colin McGuinness.
Standing here today does not make you an Irish Republican. If you choose to stand in this hallowed spot as Irish Republicans, then we must relay to the Irish people in clear and concise terms our justification and credentials for doing so. We cannot claim to act on behalf of the Irish people if we cannot explain to them why and how a sovereign Irish Republic affords our people the political, social and cultural framework within which Irish society can progress along genuine republican principles. The supreme lesson bequeathed by those who fought in 1916 is a line of clarity, the fundamental starting point from which Irish republicanism must commence, and from there cultivate its core philosophy to impact on the current political climate in which we find ourselves. That line of clarity determines that the Irish people must reject any British dimension, influence or agency in the sovereign affairs of the Irish people. It also declares that no such interference can form any part in a just and democratic conflict resolution process. In the words of the 1916 proclamation, Irish sovereignty is inalienable and indefeasible. It cannot be bartered or given away for any purpose, especially for political and constitutional expediency. Grattan's Parliament, Home Rule, Partition, Leinster House and Stormont are all manifestations to serve British strategic interests in our country. originated and were nurtured with the direct and dependent collusion of a domestic Irish politics which has flourished for its own ends and has placed its own welfare above the welfare of our people. But it is not enough for Irish Republicans to simply quote from those who went before us. All generations of our people have the inalienable right to exercise their sovereignty in the face of the circumstances in which they live. And equally, all generations of Irish Republicans have a right and duty to articulate their voice so that those generations take notice of it. History has given us our foundations. What we build on them is a matter for us. Where is the voice of Irish Republicanism today? What are we saying that is remotely quotable to those who will come after us? What ideas do we possess to advance the objectives of those buried here, who face British firing squads in sure confidence that such ideas would follow and secure the republic they died for? If you cannot answer these questions, then you must remain silent. Marching bands are not a republican dialogue. Our first task is to liberate Irish republicanism itself. We have mired it so deeply in the past that we have strangled any relevance it can have today. We have surrendered the future to historical decisions that were noble and relevant to their time, but are, nonetheless, done and receding. There is no redemption in pointing at betrayal in the comfort blanket of ideological purity or claiming hereditary success, which in itself is a deeply anti-republican concept. The core reasoning of republicanism is not traditional opposition, but pragmatic progression. The Republic proclaimed in 1916, democratically ratified in 1918, convened in 1919, and usurped in 1922, no longer exists, both in fact and influence. The proclamation of 1916 has been neutralised by the current political class, who can train empty with its sentiments, but will suffer no political consequences by refusing to pursue them. If we do not accept this reality, then we cannot begin to address the current realities which Irish Republicans now face. It is not a question of republicanism going back to basics, but rather Irish Republicans taking those basics and moving forward. If Irish Republicanism is to have any chance to progress, it needs to close the chapter on the Fourth Republic and the unsuccessful struggle to re-establish it, and open a new chapter for a Second Republic and initiate a new struggle to realise it. The struggle to end violation of our national sovereignty by the Westminster Parliament and the struggle to forge a viable and functioning republic are one and the same. A so-called United Ireland is too vague a description to render it an objective in any sense of Irish republicanism. Building what we need to establish is the surest means of defeating all those who stand in our way, both British and Irish. By seeking to establish a Second Republic, we address our people from a starting point of modernity. We make events in their lifetime relevant to their future and in turn to the Republican project itself. Our duty to Republican history is fulfilled, because only those who have ideas to advance that history can inherit its mantle. A Second Republic must serve its people, and not itself be a servant to the political class. Its own proclamation must state this and how it means to achieve it. It is not an altar at which to exalt historic patriotism, but a living blueprint to build, foster and administer genuine Republican ideals. The proclamation of 1916 did not discard the Fenian proclamation of 1867. It was a natural progression of it. That natural progression, once again, needs to be made manifest if the status quo is to be effectively challenged. The Ireland of today is far removed from the vision of either proclamation, and more alarmingly drifting ever further away. And once again, British strategic interests have their hand on the tiller. The political reasoning behind partition alters and adapts to the different needs of the British establishment to preserve it. And because the Good Friday Agreement does not oblige 26 county states to pursue the ending of partition, those British needs will go unchallenged. More nefariously, the dominant narrative on the constitutional question is now ingrained with the flawed need for a British citizen dimension to any future 32 county state. It is abundantly clear that British long-term thinking is looking beyond partition and modelling a so-called unity state that will continue to serve its strategic interests in Ireland. The British are no longer dependent on unionist consent to guarantee its strategic interests in Ireland, because under the terms of the Good Friday Agreement, they have secured nationalist consent for the very same ends. This British strategy is clearly audible in the language and actions of constitutional and establishment nationalists. Gone is the language of sovereignty and self-determination, instead replaced with terminology such as agreed Ireland and shared Ireland, couched in the amount of rhetoric of peace and reconciliation. The relentless assault on the policy of neutrality to enmesh present and future Irish armed forces and Western military alliances further underscores Westminster's long-term intention and nationalist compliance with them. This is precisely why the British retain complete control over that aspect of the Good Friday Agreement which deals with constitutional change. The primary purpose of a border poll is not what establishment nationalists claim to be, but rather a mechanism in which the British can determine the nature of any state that results from such a poll. This is an Ireland in the Commonwealth, an Ireland as the western flank of NATO or some other Western military alliance, an Ireland as a tactical supporter and ally of Zionism, an Ireland as a sub-entity in a capitalist financial system subjugated in a federal Europe, an Ireland whose ancient culture and identity will be deliberately eroded for political expediency and corporate compliance. We say to the Irish people that if you march in your thousands to support the sovereign rights of the Palestinian people, then you must march in your tens of thousands to demand Irish neutrality. And if you truly champion these noble causes, then you must march in your scores of thousands to remove from British control the sovereign destiny of your country. Here is where the Republican movement must step up to the mark. Any Republican critique of the British occupation of our country must be cognizant of British long-term planning and its use of domestic Irish politicians to make that planning effective. If the British establishment is thinking forward to shape future events, so too must Republican strategies to challenge them. Waving history at the British is as effective as using old medicine to treat modern ailments. If anything, British history has taught us this. What we are witnessing in Ireland today is the counter-democratic outworking of the Good Friday Agreement. Even if the terms of that agreement fall into obscurity, the political direction it initiated will continue to prevail. The strongest argument that Irish republicanism currently possesses is a democratic one. We must now focus our attention and resources into developing this argument to its fullest potential. As it stands, partition is seen as being democratically endorsed via the so-called principle of consent. Achieving that consent is the red herring which both governments would have all interested parties endlessly but fruitlessly pursue. A modern proclamation setting out in clear and precise terms the sovereign democratic premise upon which a second republic must be founded should by default rapidly expose the counter-democratic nature of this consent policy. If we resort to ideological abstractions or historical rhetoric as the primary focus of our efforts, we will only be talking to ourselves, an ever-decreasing and irrelevant share. What we need to articulate is not what the principle of consent is supposed to give us, but what it actually denies us in real terms. Peace on the island of Ireland should not be held hostage to a compromise on the integrity of our national sovereignty. If, as Republicans, we recognise the people as the nation, then it is through the people that our vision of nation and statehood must traverse if it is to have any relevance to them at all. And for this to happen, we must speak and understand the language of the people, the language of need, of necessity, and of priority. The welfare of the people must constitute the social imperative of the Second Republic. Thank you.
Well done, Colin. Very interesting. We're now going to have a live version of Around the Beat by Liam McCabe. Sorry, just change the plan. Sorry, Liam McCabe. Very well sung. You have to read that. Okay, just before we go, I'd just like to acknowledge the contributions that were made today by everyone that took part. Colin, Damien, the two girls, to the stewards, to the colour party, and to the people that travelled from all over the country. On behalf of the 1916 Commemoration Committee, I would like to thank you. Thank you very much. And once again, before we go, can we just make a bit of a tap down here for the colour party to go to the gates to fall out. Stronger forward, go to be the Mulligan.
Sorry.
Just give them your name, it's right, address, date of birth, nothing else. You don't give them anything at all, just give them your name. His name, that's it. You have to give the date of birth. Name, address, date of birth. And nothing else. Julia, delighted to see you. I'll say the same to you as well, you might say to everybody else. You phone out the guy, name, address, date of birth, nothing else.
Over there, get a picture of you and me. Your name again? Bob.
Go on. No problem, no problem.
What's your name, Daniel? The lion's dead. Only
Sit
God.
down.
What was the one that gave me? I was like, no, I looked up. It was like, the giant father. I don't know. I don't like that name, but that's what you do you want to get a photograph? What's yours? Like over there in the men's
Sorry.
See you later.